Hi dear students, very good morning. Today we will learn about the quadratic functions. We will start with the definitions of the quadratic function, and in the second steps we will learn about some obvious characteristics of the quadratic functions. So let us take a start. So what is the quadratic function? Let us come to the definition of a quadratic function. We say that a function f from R to R, here the domain is also R and the codomain is also given as R. So a function f from R to R is called quadratic function if it is defined by f of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c, where a should not be equal to 0. Why this a is the coefficient of x square. So the coefficient of square should never be equal to 0. If it becomes 0 with you, then it doesn't remain a quadratic function at all. So it should be remembered here that this should never be equal to 0. And the coefficient of bx, these are all a, b and c are some real constant number. Now we are passing some remarks on this quadratic function. It will be having some characteristics like this. Look at here. We say that the domain of the quadratic function will always be the set of real numbers. What is the domain? The x values, whatever we are putting in these functions, it will be our domain. So the x value is our domain. So the domain of the quadratic function will always be a real number. The second point is the graph of the quadratic function will always be a parabola. It will be a parabola shape. Parabola shape means it will give you a U shape. And in the next slides or in this slide after this, I will going to show you what is the parabola shape. Look at the graph of the parabola will always be an open upward if the coefficient of this x square is greater than 0. So let us show you how this will be. Look at, if the coefficient of this x square is greater than 0, a is greater than 0 here with us, so it will give you an open upward parabola like this. And similarly, if this a, the coefficient, I'm going to show you again. Similarly, here if the coefficient of x square is negative with us, negative is what the fourth point is, the graph of the parabola will be an open downward if the coefficient of x square is negative, or we say mathematically we write it like this: a is less than 0. So it will give you a down open upward parabola like this, down open upward parabola. So what are these remarks for these quadratic functions? Please once again listen these remarks carefully and keep it in mind. Don't forget it. That the x square coefficient a should never be equal to 0. If it becomes a 0, remember it that it will not be a quadratic function. The domain of the quadratic function will be R with you. The graph of the parabola will be a quadratic function. The graph of the quadratic function will be a parabola. The graph of this function will always be, the quadratic function will always be a parabola. And if a is greater than 0, it will be an open upward parabola. If a is, what is a? A is the coefficient of x square. If a is negative, then it will be a downward parabola. So let us we draw the graph of the parabola and the next slides, and dear students, we will observe, we will learn about the graph of the quadratic function, how we will draw the graph 0 of it will quadratic function. Open up. Let us start with this example. So let us come to the next slide. Look at this example. Let us consider a quadratic function. F is defined by f of x is equal to x square minus 1. Find the graph of f. So you see here the x square coefficient is positive with us, it is 1. If there is not written anything, it is understood that here is 1. So the a is greater than 0. So if a is greater than 0, we learned in the last slides that it will give you an open upward parabola like this. An open upward parabola like this. Now, how we will draw the graph of this function? For this, first we will make a table to find the value of the function f of x. So we will make two columns or two rows, two columns. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 columns and 2 rows I have made here. 2 rows and 8 columns. I make the table horizontally here. So look it, when we put the x value, we will start with the 0 and go to the positive sides and come and then to the negative sides. So for this, first we will put 0, 1, 2, 3 and minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. Why we are putting these values? Because the domain of the function, which we call x, it is a real number. So for this purpose we are taking 0, 1, 2, 3 and minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and if these values we put in the functions, it will give us the output like this. 0, when we put here, we will get minus 1. Similarly, when we put 1, it will give us 0, 1, minus 1, 0. And if we put minus 1, so because of this square, it will give us again 0, 1 minus 1, 0. And similarly for 2, 3 and minus 2 and minus 3. So we got the functions values here, the output of the functions. So now we will draw this graph on the graph of the parabola on the graph paper here. I have made try to understand you from this graph. Look at here, this is green lines are show to you the x-axis, and this red line is for the y-axis. So when you have the x value 0 here with us, so when the x value 0 with us, it gives us this green line minus 1, minus 1. And when the x value is 1 here, this is 1. When these are the x-axis, this green line is for the x-axis. When the x value is 1, it will give you 0. When the x value is minus 1, it will give you 0. When the x value is 2, it will give you 1, this red line. When the x value is minus 2, it will give you this 1. When the x value is 3 here, when the x value is 3, it will give you 8. And when the x value is minus 3, it will give you again 8, as it is shown in the table. So then what you will do, you will join all these points together. So let us join these points together and you will get a shape like this. Sorry if I have making some mistake. So look it, come. Yes, we got the parabola shape. You see here, this is a U shape and this is an open upward parabola. Why it is an open upward parabola? Because a is greater than 0. So what we learn in the whole slides in this, and this slides we learn that the domain of the function, the domain of the quadratic function is real number. the output of the quantization is also here real numbers, and the graph of the parabola, the graph of